Howdy, folks. So I wanted to give you an update. Most people are probably aware of it. What's been going on over the last 7 months. For those of you who are not, I'll give you a little rundown. But this is an update on the 2 court cases that Gary Tomlinson from Who Dares Wins International One Love Race brought against me in the High Court in London. So a bit of a background first. In December, after I started doing some marketing, promotion and website work for the British Masters One Love Race, I received a copyright claim with the Sullivan Brothers and British Masters for copyright infringement. This was lodged with the court on the 23rd of December. So it's been going on a while. And then in April time, can't remember the exact time, but I had another court case issued against me and hand serve notices for defamation about the site asktomo.com. I had simply been prepaid to do some work for the British Masters, redesign their logos, do some leaflets for them, what have you. And Gary Tomlinson only took me to court for breach of copyright because he said he owned all of the work that I'd done for him, although he'd never paid me a penny for it. And he was also taking the British Masters to court for using the work that I provided them. A good few months ago now, because of all of the things that they've got going on with their business and their life, the British Masters settled with Gary Tomlinson because they simply couldn't afford the time and the money to defend it, although they had a very good case to do so. And I was party to the settlement, and I was given access to that, albeit mistakenly, it now turns out. And I went and put the settlement on the website. Now, I was in possession of the website, the document, for 2 weeks, and I didn't do anything with it. But on this particular Monday, before Tomo's show, Lee Sullivan, Ian Sullivan paid Gary Tomlinson at 6:45 on a Monday evening. Come 8 o'clock on the Monday evening, Gary Tomlinson spouting out and out lies, saying there's no problem between the Sullivans and we're all fine. And it's complete crock of BS. If you go and look on YouTube, you can see the video of him doing that. To which I thought, you're not getting away with spouting more lies. And I went and published a document showing exactly what he had got the Sullivans to do. He made them pay money for nothing. And then I got an injunction against me, hand served, went to court. The judge delayed it for a couple of weeks. They weren't happy with that, got another injunction, went back to court on a Friday afternoon, put a temporary injunction on me from putting out this document, just showing the open, honest, completely transparent man's actions in getting them to pay him money for doing bugger all. Now, bear in mind, this leaflet, all of this leaflet rubbish, he never paid me a penny for. So, went back to court the following Monday. The injunction still stood. Then, after about 5 phone calls with his solicitors, I said, listen, what are we doing about this? His offer to me, his very gracious offer from the most open, honest and transparent man in pigeon sport, was for me to give him the copyright of all of the work that I did for him, and he'll drop both cases against me. I said, no. So you want to... Oh, one of the offers was I'll drop the injunction case, the asktomo.com case, but I'll keep going with the copyright case. So you want me to agree for you to drop the case that's going to cost you thousands to take to court and carry on with the court case that you've already paid a load of money to do? And I rejected both. And then 2 hours after I rejected, his solicitors dropped the Asktomo defamation, whatever other stuff he invented in his mind. And by this time, because the Sullivans had settled, it was just me and him. Then on the 15th of June, we went to the High Court remotely. It was a remote hearing. And it's true to say that his solicitor got his ass kicked by the judge. The top judge that deals with copyright in this country basically said to his solicitor, this case is not ready to go to court in any way. Their claim was not ready. My claim wasn't great, but I'm representing myself. And then went on to say that, can you tell me exactly what you're claiming copyright to? This is the judge to Tomlinson's solicitor. And about 2 minutes after, he couldn't. All he could say is both parties are aware of what copyright issues there are. And the judge said, well, I'm not, so can you tell me what they are? And he couldn't actually tell me, the judge, what they are. The judge went on to say, I'm not prepared to hear this case until October, but I suggest that you both enter into mediations, both parties into the mediations. And he said, looking at the defense and the counterclaim that I'd put in, it comes down to that Mr. Lyford is saying he hasn't been paid for the work. Upon speaking to his solicitor further, I offered a settlement of £11,880 for all the work I'd done, plus all the DVD sales he's made, plus the £880 for the pigeons that I'd paid for that he never gave my son, and all of that stuff. And he rejected that, saying his offer is to drop the case against me. That's no offer, that's an insult. 7 months of hassle, stress, a load of rubbish, and a load of stress, hassle, and a lot of money for the British Masters. He's prepared to drop the case against me and let us both walk away into the sunset, was his solicitor's words. And I said to his solicitor, well, none of that is acceptable to me, and nor does it show that I own the copyrights. That doesn't prove anything, that he never paid me. At the end of the day, your client never paid me for the work. Anyway, that was that. So yesterday, I get an email at 9:30 in the morning saying that Gary Tomlinson is dropping the copyright and infringement case against me, because I'd basically said to his solicitor, we carry on, we go to court, and we'll let the judge decide. And as of yesterday, this was emailed to me showing that he's dropping the case. So 7 months, a load of hassle, a load of crap, both court cases that he has put against me, he's dropping. He's dropped. He's not completely finished, though, because when he first put the copyright case against me, I counterclaimed against him for payment for the work that he initially did and for the DVD money that he owes me and other bits. Now, he can't make me drop that. So let's step back a minute. This is a man that prides himself on being totally open and honest and transparent. They're the words he uses all the time. Yet a man that went to the judge in the High Court twice to get an injunction against me to stop me publishing what the British Masters paid to him and the terms of the agreement. An injunction, hand-served documents that thick on a Wednesday and on a Saturday to stop me publishing what actually happened after he went and lied the previous week completely through his teeth, saying there was no problems between him and the British Masters. him saying that this leaflet that had a similar design to it, although it had the British Masters logo on top and all of the Sullivans' contact details on the bottom, confused people, got his buddy Pete Wright, Pete Berry, Kevin Frail and others to email all on the same afternoon of the 23rd of December saying they were confused. People were confused about who owns what race is going on, what race are you a part of. Said that it was harming his race, said that people were confused about the race because of this leaflet. Incidentally, the big banner that you used to see at the back of his live shows, the day after, the week after British Masters paid him, you never saw that banner again. It disappeared. This is the kind of man you're dealing with. So all of this leaflet rubbish, I have to ask myself, was it actually something else going on in this man's mind? Because I've stood up to him. I've represented myself. I've got zero costs and a lot of hours myself and my partner Gabby have put into preparing our defence, which I will be going for costs on. This leaflet, which incidentally, and as a matter of fact, on the 23rd of December, these court documents were filed with the court. But on the 21st, 2 days before, I'd said to Lee and Ian, I said, listen, let's just change the leaflet, completely different, can't complain about it. And we changed it. It was all replaced on the 2 days before. But yet still, they went to the High Court and applied for this rubbish. I've had 7 months, I've had 2 years of all of this with him, but I've had 7 months of this, him going with court cases and High Court as well, not just small claims court, High Court. But I have to ask myself, why? Definitely, he was trying to divide and conquer. He's great at doing that. What Gary Tomlinson is great at doing is a couple of things. He's great at trying to divert people's attention to something else so that people are not looking actually what he may or may not have done right or wrong. Great at diverting. The other thing he's great at doing is trying to divide and conquer people. Whether people like me or not, most of the reasons people don't like me are for reasons that are made up, and a lot of the rumors and vile rubbish that's spread about me is actually all been perpetuated by Gary Tomlinson, filtering out to his little cult of people and his little clique of people to spread all of this vile rubbish out. But when Gary Tomlinson saw a leaflet at Doncaster show, which the Sullivans asked me to produce in a relatively quick period of time, and I said I would do, he'd already started bad-mouthing the British Masters. He'd already started lying about the numbers of pigeons they'd lost as a result of sickness. Ironically, he's lost pigeons this year as a result of sickness, but not told any of the fanciers that have had to have their pigeons called, that they've had to have their pigeons called. To me, if you had to have your pigeons called, you at least be given the chance to replace them in the race. But that's probably another story for another day. Lied about the numbers of pigeons, lied about him helping them, asked questions about the EPW payments for the auction, all of this stuff before he even knew I was involved. Then when he knew and he saw this leaflet at Doncaster show, which one of his friends showed him, then it all kicked off. And I'm thinking now, was all of this action against the British Masters, me about this leaflet and everything else, actually him waking up one day, figuring out that I was helping the British Masters with their marketing promotion and their website stuff and thinking, I don't want that. The British Masters is one of my biggest competitors, probably the biggest competitor to him. And was it a ploy to try and get the British Masters to stop? And at least me and them fall out. The British Masters race isn't running this year. And his actions are as a direct result of why it's not running. His divide and conquer techniques or tactics of getting them to fall out with me haven't worked. In fact, if anything, it's made us stronger. I am completely good friends, good terms with the Sullivans and the British Masters. So that hasn't worked for him. The man has spent thousands upon thousands of pounds to take these court actions. It cost him over $3,000 just to put the Astomo injunction case in. His solicitor confirms he's paying full rates for the work. So if that's the case, it's cost him thousands. And remember, all of this started because he refused to give me 7 racing pigeons and £4,000 to cover all of the hundreds of hours of work that I did for him, which helped him to double his business in the year that I was involved, and continue to double his business. Incidentally, his argument to courts and the judge that this leaflet affected his business couldn't be further from the truth, because he had the most paid entries the man has ever had this year. £302,000 income this year. Once he got the money off the Sullivans the next week, he announced he was increasing his prize money by £7,000. What a gracious effort when you've just got a load of money from the Sullivans for nothing. £302,000 income, just over, 110,000 payment. Not bad money. I'm not saying my work was as a direct result of that happening, but definitely his entries doubled the year I was involved, because that's what we set out to do. And this all comes down to the man not paying me £4,000 and me not backing down. A lot of people don't talk out about this man because they're scared of what him or his family will do. I refuse to be bullied. I've said it all along. I never will be. And then he decided he was going to try and use the police. Gary Tomlinson is great at acting the victim. Something actually 2 years ago he accused me of being very good at. He's tried to call the police on me numerous times. And then he decides, about the same time that his soon-to-be daughter-in-law got involved in the family, that he was going to take me to court. So he was going to try and use the UK legal system to bully me. So what's he actually done? He's not paid me for the work, never paid me a penny for any of the work. 2 court cases, which has cost him tens of thousands probably to take to where they were at. And then he's dropped both cases and he's got a big chunk of money, £8,500 from the Sullivans. For what? For a case actually he just dropped yesterday. And you have to ask yourself why. I think one of the theories I've got now is actually it was all about making sure that the British Masters race was harmed, and at the same time trying to cause me as many problems as possible. When I gave him the offer last week of £11,880, I didn't get, I'll pay you this. I didn't get anything other than I'll drop the case and that's it. The man refuses to pay me a penny. But now he's in a situation where I've got a counterclaim against him around the original issue that he put in against me. Bear in mind, 2 years has been going on. I've never took this to court because, quite frankly, the amount of effort involved, time, money involved, wasn't worth me trying to do it. But because he did all of this against me, I pay £500 whatever it was, put a bit of time into it and put a counterclaim against him for the money he actually owes me to enable him to own the copyright. So don't forget, every image, every graphic that he's using on his website on the top of his lofts, that's all work done by me that he's never paid me a penny for. So he has done all of this, and now he's got a counterclaim against him where I want money off him, which he rightly should have paid me in the first place. Why has he done all of this? I think it's because it's another extension of his bullying tactics. The man is an out-and-out bully. Speak against him negatively, see what you get. Unfortunately, like I've said before, the man doesn't know how to deal with people that don't use their fists or just threaten people like the Neanderthal he is. Most open, honest, transparent man there is in the pigeon sport needs injunctions to stop the real truths coming out. So there's the update. All court cases that he was putting against me have been dropped, and my counterclaim still continues and will continue to go to the courts, and we will let a judge decide on if Gary Tomlinson owes me the money for all of the hundreds of hours of work I did. And then if he does pay me, of course, he can get the copyright to those. The Sullivans and British Masters, he's failed, like I said earlier, he's failed with that because there's no divide and conquer happened here. And AskTomo.com is still very much alive and out there to tell as many people about this man as possible. And that's it. I will continue to update AskTomo.com on any relevant happenings. I can't try any more than I have to resolve this matter with this man. I think the latest count was 8 times I've tried to resolve the matter. Seriously tried to resolve it. But he doesn't want it. So we continue and we go to court, and I'll let the judge decide if he owes me the money and also that he doesn't own the copyright on that material. And we'll see what happens. Remember, the British Masters race did not go ahead this year. And it didn't go ahead as a direct result of Tomlinson's lies, actions, stress and pressure caused to the Sullivan brothers and everybody involved with the British Masters. If you don't know about all of this stuff, go and have a look at asktomo.com, AskTommo.com. And you will see lots of stuff about Gary Tomlinson and his family. You'll see his son, Rob, saying that there's no way his dad would pay £2,000 to have offer to pay £2,000 to have a car set on fire, because he knows for a fact that he can get a car fired for £50. You'll see a lot more on there as well. These are the type of people you're dealing with. The most open, honest, and transparent man and family within the pigeon sport. A man that isn't in it for the money. He's only in it to help people. But it's bought £302,000 in this year and paying £110,000 out. And him, by his own admission, had to cull approximately 80 pigeons this year, but isn't able to tell any of the people that entered the race which ones had to be culled and which ones were dropped off the top of the loft and lost. 269 pigeons before a pigeon even hits the basket. But of course, he's got the money in now, so he'll try his best to get as many to the final so he can get at least £25 per race. And in the meantime, he's doing all of this stuff. Thanks for watching. Catch you at some point soon.